guys, we're going to read The Bridge Home, chapter 25, The Candles in the Dark. Rule didn't lead us straight back to the graveyard. He took us down a street we hadn't seen before. There's a church right by here, Rule said. Let's go there and buy a candle to give thanks to God. Thanks. Muthu stared at him for what? I couldn't believe my ears either. You're thanking God the waste man took away everything we had? The waste man didn't take away everything we had, Rule said. He threaded my hand through one of his and reached out for you and his other hand. See, Rule said, and I saw. We stood in a circle linked together like an unbreakable necklace. So Rule is telling them that they should be thankful that they're all still together and for what they do have. No dogs allowed, Rule said when we arrived at the church. Can you get him to stay here and wait for us, Ruku? Wait. You patted his head. Wait. We'll be right back, QT, I said. Look after our stuff. Because surely our stuff is so precious, anyone who sees it would want to steal it, Muthu joked as we laid down the bundle of things we'd salvaged from the bridge. As Rule shut the church door behind us, QT whined softly, but you didn't seem to hear him. You and I had only seen churches from the outside. Inside, the church was dark and quiet. Faint streams of light danced in through rainbow-colored windows. Straight ahead, instead of a stone image of a god or goddess, hung a wooden cross with a carved figure of Yisu, bleeding, with thorns wound around his head. Awa, you whispered, Awa. It's just a statue, Ruku, I whispered back. It's not alive. It's God, Rule said in a reverent tone. You know what the word reverent means? It means feeling of showing like respect. So the way that he is talking, he's showing respect. Then he led us to a place where rows of candles were flickering. He dropped a coin into a box and lit a candle. We thank you, Yusu, and Mama and Mary Amma, he explained, by lighting candles, and we pray they'll keep us safe. Isn't it enough if we just pray, I said. Must we actually burn our money? Muthu chuckled. Rule placed the candle beside the others. You watched as intently as when you made your bead necklaces. Then he held a candle out to you. Careful, Ruku. That flame can give you an awa, I said. Even though I knew how good you were with your hands, I couldn't help warning you. After all, you'd never held a burning candle before. Worrying about your safety was a habit I couldn't cure, and I hoped I didn't sound bossy. Wax drips, and it's hot. Rule placed his hands over yours, so you were holding the candle together. I watched you set it in place. Again, you said? Muthu and I flopped down on a smooth wooden bench and watched as Rule let you buy and light one more candle, and then another. Your hand trembled slightly, but your gaze was steady with concentration, your tongue between your teeth. Enough, I suggested, but you ignored me. She's hearing the voice of God, Rule whispered. Too bad she can't hear my voice telling her to stop spending all our money on candles, I whispered to Muthu. Soon we won't have any money left. But you were so in awe that I decided not to argue. You seemed to melt right into that moment, kneeling before the candles, your eyes fixed on the moving flames, and they were so beautiful, those little flames, dancing in that still, silent church, dancing like they could hear music, like they were alive the way you were alive right there, right then, not worried about what happened in a few hours or days, not remembering what had happened before. So they're being in the moment. I heard a sudden snap, the sound breaking, but not your reverie. Yeah. A kind-looking woman who must have been watching us the whole time had snapped open her handbag and started rifling through it. Our eyes met. We're not beggars, I assumed she was looking to give us some change. It's not money. She held out a small rectangular card. Can you read? Of course. I snatched the card out of her hands and read it aloud to prove I wasn't lying. Dr. Selena Pinto, Director, Safe Home for Working Children. Below that was an address, a number, and the name of a street that sounded familiar. a street I remembered from the nicer part of town. I'm Selena Auntie, she said. I run a home for children and help place them in schools or learn a trade. School? My excited shout echoed through the church. At last, I'd found a person who could fulfill my dreams. We don't need free stuff, Arul grunted. We work. Our children work, she said. They pay for what I provide by working for me, keeping the place clean, obeying my rules, no smoking, no lying, no stealing. Stealing? A man wearing a long robe entered through a door I hadn't seen, right by the altar. He glanced down at us anxiously. These strays are trying to steal, Dr. Selena? They're not stealing, Father. They're lighting candles, Selena Auntie started to explain. But the boys didn't want to hear any more. Come on, Akka, Muthu scampered out of the church. A rule pulled you out and I followed. You blinked sulkily in the sunshine that had briefly broken through the clouds. Now you want to find another church boss, Muthu said to Arul, so we can give thanks this priest didn't accuse us of stealing and send us to a policeman? Priests don't accuse kids who are in God's house, Arul said, but he didn't sound very certain. Well, it's a good thing that priest showed up, I said, or we would have spent every last coin on candles. Did you see the faith on Ruku's face? Arul said, her soul's going to heaven for sure, with mine. Good for your souls, I said, but can we please use what's left of our money to take care of our stomachs too? Alrighty, and that is the end of chapter 25. For the exit ticket, I'm asking you to describe the kids' experience that is in the church. And then do you think that they should have stayed longer or, like they did, should have left the church when they did? So if they stayed, they probably would have talked to that Dr. Selena some more. Do you think that they should have or they shouldn't have? I look forward to seeing what you think. All right, guys, I'll see you for chapter 26. Bye.